Story 1. One of those triangle sandwich toasters that leaves the filling like napalm. Everyone still has one in a cupboard somewhere next to the George Foreman grill that lied about how easy it was to clean. Story 2. It has got to be the bread maker. It sounded like a great idea when I got it, but that thing has been chilling in the back of a cabinet as if it is in witness protection. Story 3. Panini maker. It just makes the bread rippled, and then I have a greasy mess to clean off of it. I do not know why I got the thing. Story 4. Toss-up between dishwasher and immersion blender. Both fall into the category of things I do not use often but make life much easier when I do use them. Every other unused appliance has been removed. Story 5. Pasta maker and Ronco rotisserie both work great and have been stored in the basement for 12 years because they are difficult to clean completely. Of the items we actually use, we have a 3-container hot food warmer, used every few years when there is an extended family holiday meal. Being in our 70s, we don't get invited much when the hosts are in their 20s or 30s. Story 6. The waffle maker for sure. And my cure, I have given up and been using instant Folgers. Story 7. I use my Instant Pot several times per month, but I have not used the air fryer attachment in a long time. Story 8. A toaster. It is a smaller and cheaper toaster, but still very cute. It only does one slice at a time. Did I mention it is cute? It is very cute. Teal in color too, my favorite. It was a spur-of-the-moment impulse purchase at Walmart, my excuse being that I have gluten-free family members for medical reasons. When they come to visit, I bring out the single-slice cute toaster and present it to them like an homage to something or other. They think I am taking extra special care of them, and I am, and I get kudos for that. I get to grin at my mini cute teal toaster. I might pet it every once in a while, but no one needs to know that. Story 9. The toaster. Yet we let it live on the countertop and not in a cabinet somewhere. It is afraid of the dark. I wish I had a brave little toaster, but there it is, taking up precious counter space. Story 10. Air fryer, followed closely by my rice cooker. I make all kinds of meat and roast vegetables with the air fryer almost daily. It is an appliance I cannot live without. Story 11. Beef jerky maker? I have the gun and the dehydrator. It is fun to use with different marinade combinations, but the smell does not go away for a while. Story 12. An automatic pasta maker. It is pretty much impossible to get the water ratio right, so it has been sitting there unused for over a year. It is going into the garage sale pile. Someone is getting a good deal at $5. Story 13. We bought a juicer. What a waste. Takes forever to clean, and it wastes food. You buy a lot of food to make a cup of juice. Vitamix is much better and more flexible. Story 14. I live with messy people, so it is a nightmare to vacuum most of the rooms without either clogging the vacuum or accidentally sucking up their personal belongings. Before you judge me, I dislike this situation as much as you do. I am trying to work on it, but I cannot and will not spend my entire free time for the next several months only for them to undo all the work in a week. Story 15. Every one of them that you have heard here has not been used in my house in 6 months, but I have them all. Story 16. Food processor. It works great, but the time it takes to pull it out of the pantry and clean it afterward usually does not save much time compared to chopping by hand. I probably only use it once or twice a year, usually when I need to do a lot of chopping for a double recipe. Story 17. The juicer my boyfriend's mother gave us for Christmas 2.5 years ago is still in the box. I don't really like juice, and my boyfriend doesn't like anything he needs to make himself, so I'm not sure who she thought was going to use it. Story 18. Left's griddle. It is like a regular griddle but 16 inches round and heats to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. Make no mistake, the griddle works hard over the holidays. The Breville juicer is right behind it. Story 19. Electric carving knife. It is not worth the effort of cleaning it. We just use a knife. Thank you, Mom, for the electric carving knife that we used only when you were alive and came over for dinner. Story 20. The juicer that I warned my wife about. It is a fad driven by one Netflix documentary. Do not fall for it. Used it maybe 4 times. Story 21. Any specialized food maker. We have an omelet maker, mini pancake maker, quesadilla maker, and sandwich press. Story 22. The chicken cooker that was brand new I got for free. It is still in the box in my cupboard. I just forgot it was there. I have had it for about 3 years. I should really cook a chicken or a turkey or something in it, but it is always out of sight, out of mind, and I have a very small kitchen. If I take it out, it will make most of my kitchen unusable. Story 23. Trash compactor. We never use ours because I would rather carry several lightweight bags of trash than one heavy one. Story 24. The dishwasher. I wash everything by hand. It reached the point where I had to learn how to use the machine once. Story 25. The vacuum cleaner is not because I do not use it. I cook almost every day and use most appliances I own. I only clean on weekends. Story 26. My air fryer is brand new. I received it as a gift in March. I am just so used to my oven that I have not used it yet. The funny thing is, I really wanted it. Soon, I hope. I am starting to feel guilty. Story 27. Microwave, if I had one. When I did have access to a microwave, it was used rarely. That is why I don't have one at my current house. Story 28. The panini maker is tucked away in a drawer underneath the microwave. My microwave is under a counter worktop. I am short, so I do not have to stretch to get hot items out. Story 29. The dehydrator I bought to make my own beef jerky tastes better and is much cheaper than anything I buy in the store. I just never get around to using it. Story 30. Ice cream maker, a very inexpensive one. It is a hassle to prepare enough ice for it and to clean it afterward, so it is not worth the effort. Also, slushy maker for the same reason, and sandwich toaster, which is difficult to clean but is used for a few weeks every year before being stored away. Story 31. Toaster oven, followed by toaster, followed by mixer. Do generators or weed whackers count as appliances? I have never used the generator, which is the same as the toaster oven, and I attempted to start the weed whacker once, but it would not start. Story 32. Absolutely, my high-priced juicer I bought about a dozen years ago when I went on a health kick. That particular kick failed like all of them before and since. However, I am doing my best to limit carbohydrates, and consuming large amounts of fruit juice clearly is not healthy. I also do not use my bread machine because the bread is mediocre. Once again, I am trying to limit carbohydrates, so when I eat bread, I go to the best bakery I can find to get quality. Bagels will be my downfall, however. Story 33. Blender. Too much effort to clean afterward. I know about adding a little washing solution and blending, but there is always residue on the outside. You have to be careful not to get water on the metal connection parts underneath. It is heavy, and I just cannot be bothered. I will eat rather than drink my food and save the hassle unless I am feeling really adventurous and bored. Story 34. Large appliance. Microwave. Small appliance. Hair dryer. I never use either. I should probably donate them. Story 35. Instant pot because I have the really big one and now I have a small apartment and there really isn't space for it. Then space heater. It gets used once a year on a really windy winter day when the wind is getting through the windows. After that, probably the inside of the oven, although I do use the burners a lot. I think I have used the inside of the oven once this year, but I still have time. Story 36. It was my toaster before I donated it to the thrift store. It never worked very well, and I am a huge believer in the oven's broiler for toasting. My Instant Pot and slow cooker also do not get a lot of use, but I would not get rid of them because they do come in handy sometimes. Story 37. The air fryer was a gift, and we have never even removed it from the box. My oven and toaster get the job done just fine. Story 38. The immersion blender. I asked for it from my mother-in-law for Christmas one year. I have not used it once. Turns out I do not make that much soup or mayonnaise. Story 39. Mr. Coffee. When the ex left, it stopped being used. I drink tea and the older kids stick to sodas and energy drinks. Now it is just for guests. Story 40. My immersion blender. I use my air fryer, oven, stove, dishwasher, refrigerator, sink, and crock pot all the time. I use the food processor and blender fairly often. I use the pressure cooker occasionally, but I only pull out the immersion blender when I need it, and that is not really often. However, I will say this, the immersion blender is the type of tool that is not used often, but when you need to blend something in the pot, it is absolutely the best tool available and dramatically changes the result. Story 41. I'm not sure if it classifies as an appliance, but we have an iron and ironing board that we have not used in many years. Recently, my wife suggested we give them away, but I convinced her that we might need them someday. Story 42. An electric skillet I received for free from my parents. They did not have a use for it, so they offered it to me and I accepted. I believe I have only used it once or twice in the last 10 years. Story 43. Today I learned I have several appliances that I have rarely used, but I do not get rid of them because someday I might need one of them and I do not know which one. Story 44. Dishwasher. We just hand wash everything. If it were a newer model, I would probably use it more often. It came with the house, so it is quite old. I just haven't spent the money to buy a new one and probably never will. Story 45. Deep fryer or the steam egg hard boiler. The price of oil is way too high to deep fry unless you plan to deep fry every day. Story 46. Microwave, followed by oven. I bought one of those fancy air fryer and smart ovens during the COVID lockdown, and it handles most of the work of the microwave and oven. At this point, I would be fine with my overgrown toaster, a couple of burners, and my outside grill and smoker to handle 99% of my cooking and reheating. Story 47. Furnace. I heat with wood. My furnace is for backup purposes only. I honestly only use it because the deal with my propane company is that I have to use 100 gallons per year for them to maintain the tanks and regulator for free. Story 48. My microwave was never used. In the last 2 houses, including a full kitchen remodel in our current house, I got rid of it. I don't miss it at all. Story 49. Bought a rice cooker. I meal prep and it is just too small for my needs. The only time I use it is when I make sushi. My wife hates sushi, but I have one friend who loves it. He lives outside the country 6 months of the year. I use it maybe twice a year. Scratch that, I was given an Instant Pot. Used twice 4 years ago. It works, but it does not offer the quality of food I can create using other methods. Story 50. I own an electric roaster that we use just once a year at Christmas to roast a turkey. This allows us to use the oven for the rest of our dishes. I also own a food dehydrator that we used a lot for 2 weeks and then put away. The same goes for my yogurt maker. We made yogurt for 2 weeks and then never again. Story 51. Big appliance. Stove and oven. We use the Ninja grill and air fryer almost exclusively. Small appliance. Probably my KitchenAid. It did not used to be that one. I used to bake and sell custom cake pops, but then I went to graduate school and started a career. I have not baked cake pops in a decade. Story 52. The air fryer that I bought on impulse during the COVID-19 pandemic when they were becoming really popular. I have used it maybe 4 times in 4 years. The last time was about 2.5 years ago. Story 53. For a long while, it was the gimmicky hot dog toaster I received as a joke gift. It would cook a couple of hot dogs and toast a couple of buns simultaneously, and then ka-chunk, it was wiener time. I think I used it once and decided it was simply too ridiculous to ever use again. We gave it away to a local mother on one of those Buy Nothing Facebook groups because she and her son love hot dogs to a disturbing degree. Now I feel guilty for contributing to a couple of early and totally avoidable deaths, but at least I have more room for the deep fryer that I also do not use. Story 54. Waffle maker. I have a Mickey Mouse-shaped waffle maker that makes 3 small Mickeys at once. I use it maybe once a year. Story 55. I have quite a few, to be honest. I love cooking, and for years every family member would buy me a new cooking appliance that never got used. The top 2 are a deli slicer and an electric wok. The deli slicer. I make shabu shabu, or hot pot, a lot. It has been my favorite food for over 30 years. I don't like that I have to drive pretty far to the Japanese supermarket if I want to buy pre-sliced raw beef. After years of asking for one, my brother and parents bought me one as a housewarming gift when I bought my first house. I have had it for 5 years and have yet to use it. I think I will soon, though. Starting next week, I won't be working near the Japanese supermarket anymore, so it won't be the lazy option. The electric wok was a gift from my uncle about 10 years ago. I like the idea of a wok, but honestly, I would rather just use a stovetop one. You can't really shake an electric wok the way you can a stovetop one, so I don't really see the purpose of having that shaped pan. It also seems like it wouldn't be easy to clean without getting the electronics wet. It is still sitting in the plastic wrapping. Runners up, a sous vide machine, tested once, never used. Vacuum heat sealer, it is big and sits in the back of a drawer, and I can never find the bags. Instant pot, I have a rice maker and a crock pot, and the Instant Pot whistles quite loudly when in use. Fountain shake blender, I have a regular blender and don't even drink shakes anymore because I am trying to lose weight. Mini donut machine, I got it at a White Elephant gift exchange, tried it once, and the donuts were not that good. Story 56, probably the bread maker. It had one glorious week of fame, then retired to the back of the cabinet forever. Story 57, the Nespresso machine. I hate that thing. It takes up a lot of counter space, makes mediocre coffee, and the pods are very expensive. It was a gift, so I can never get rid of it. Story 58. Currently, my General Electric Opal ice maker and SodaStream combination. The ice maker has stopped working twice now. The SodaStream releases carbon dioxide in bursts instead of the usual continuous flow. Hard to describe that one. Story 59. Where do I even begin? In no particular order, probably once a year for all of the following. Bread maker, dehydrator, KitchenAid mixer accessory ice cream maker, KitchenAid mixer accessory sausage maker, KitchenAid mixer accessory meat grinder, KitchenAid mixer accessory pasta maker, food processor, manual pasta maker, slow cooker, precision cooker sous vide. Story 60. Keurig had it for over 10 years and have not used it since we got an espresso machine. We do not have the counter space for it currently, so it is in the cupboard with the blender. The espresso machine and KitchenAid are much heavier, so they stay on the counter. Story 61. We got a composter a few years ago that we used for our garden for about 3 months and then stopped. Story 62. KitchenAid mixer. Bought it 2 years ago and used it once. It is just a dusty decoration on my counter. Story 63. Ice cream maker. It was given to me as a gift. Used it once. It worked well. I'm just too lazy. Story 64. Toss up. Air popper. Crock pot. Ice cream maker. Electric grill. Toaster oven. What I use the most are rice cooker, stovetop, oven, microwave, and air fryer. I also have some other appliances with moderate usage. Story 65. Probably the blender is only used with particular house guests or on holidays for specific recipes. Story 66. My big KitchenAid 5-quart stand mixer. I use it once a year to make smoked pecan sandies. Last year, I made 30 dozen and gave away 29 dozen. Story 67. My wife bought a samosa maker about 6 years ago that has never been removed from the box. Why? I have no idea. It is not like we regularly or ever made samosas by hand and thought that a samosa maker would make our lives much better. Story 68. That chocolate fountain my wife just had to have. We used it for one Christmas party, and now it's just somewhere. Story 69. These days, the oven, our double air fryer, has become practically redundant unless we have visitors and need to cook for more than 2. Story 70. I bought a dehydrator to make fruit leather. I used it once because it does not make much fruit leather at one time, and the fruit leather it produces is unpleasant unless you add a lot of sugar. It is bulky as well. Story 71. If you classify my bed as an appliance, that would be it for my house. The reason being, it is upstairs in my 2-story house. I have no depth perception, and the only light switch to turn on and off the light for the upstairs is at the top of the stairs. So I sleep on my couch. The second floor basically houses a small part of my beer collection. Story 72. Dishwasher. 5 years old. Opened 7 times, never used. It serves as extra storage for clean dishes and dinnerware. Story 73. Ashamed to say, but my prized Ronco dehydrator, I had to have it and used it often for years. When I moved in with my boyfriend about 12 years ago, it was placed in a high cabinet and never came back out. Story 74. Microwave. My parents did not own one when I was growing up, so I never really got into the habit of microwaving food. Story 75. Smoothie blender. I made one 7 years ago, realized how difficult it was to clean, and promptly put it in a cupboard, where it has remained ever since. Story 76. My crock pot. I had visions of throwing together gourmet meals in the crock pot and poof, dinner as soon as I get home. I didn't realize how lazy I actually am in the morning, and making coffee is about my limit. Then one of the locks that held the locking lid down broke the third time I used it. I put it in my back hall for storage, and it has been there ever since. I don't even like stews. What made me think I was going to use a crock pot? Story 77. Cake pop maker. I used to use it all the time before I had children. Now it is just too much hassle, so I do not bother. Story 78. The coffee pod machine is in the loft now. I thought it would be handy, but I much prefer coffee from the mocha pot. Story 79. My Instant Pot, I told myself I was going to use it all the time, but I typically end up cooking in the oven or stove anyway. Story 80. A waffle maker. We never use it because you can either have the waffles while they are fresh and warm, and the one making them has to wait, or you can stack them, and then you have a stack of lukewarm waffles. Story 81. Probably our magic bullet blender. Weirdly though, our Mickey Mouse waffle maker that my dad has had since before I was born, so at least 20 years old, gets used every weekend. Story 82. The microwave broke a year ago and still has not been replaced. It is basically an expensive bread box now. Story 83. SodaStream. Parents have one, husband has one. They were both used for about 3 months in 2021 and have since become dust collectors. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.